Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm Christy Wright, and today we are continuing the conversation with John Felkins, where we are talking all about how you can finish 2018 strong in your business so you can start 2019 even better. If you missed part one, you can check that out here on YouTube. And now check out part two with John Felkins. Let me tell you my favorite question to ask in any scenario all the time. And I know it's one of your favorites too, like because you're a coach. Why?
Yep.
Why?
Yeah.
It's my favorite interview question. Why do you want this job? It's my first and always favorite interview question. It gets into the motivation. So how this applies even into the year, if you're looking at your P&L, if you're looking at just your list of things you do in a given day, things your business does, products you offer, I would ask that question to all of them. Why?
Yes.
Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Now, there may be things that you're doing that make a lot of money and help a lot of people, and that's awesome.
Right.
There may be things you're doing that don't make a lot of money, but they're helping a lot of people, and you've decided we're going to do this because of the why.
Yeah.
But if you don't know the why, if you don't know the answer to each of those things, then you're going to go into 2019 doing the same things you've always done, feeling just as stuck. You're going to end 19 with the same kinks in your hose that you had right now. But you can start to be asked those great questions. And I'll give you an example. One of the things we used to always do were blogs.
Right.
For Business Boutique. I would write them.
Yeah.
And this was 2 blogs a week on top of all the podcasts and all the events and all the academy and all the teaching and Facebook Lives and all Dave Ramsey show. And we started finally one day we were just like, why are we doing these?
Yeah.
We don't have ROI. It's not driving the machine. It's not making money. It might be helping people, but I'm also helping them in other ways.
12 different other ways, yeah.
That's right. And so when you start to ask why, it can help you shave off some of the stuff that may be holding you back going into 2019 and help you have a little bit more discernment. Okay, I want to ask you, you talked about the P&L.
Yep.
What are some areas, what are specific numbers that for us would be a red flag? Now, I want to give you an example of this. I used this example earlier. So my sister-in-law is a nurse.
Yes.
And I was just chatting with her the other day, and I said, why is it that every time you go to a doctor's appointment ever, they take your blood pressure and your temperature? Like, you go to the doctor for a fever blister, and they're like, let me take your blood pressure and your temperature. I'm like, well, my temperature and blood pressure. And she said, they are alarm systems for your body.
Yeah.
If your blood pressure or your temperature are off, it's an alarm going off in your body that something else is wrong. So we always want to know how your vitals are doing for that. And I thought, okay, what are those for your business? What are the alarm systems for your business where you go, that's a red flag? I love how you said, are you paying yourself? Like, to me, that's a major red flag if you end 18 and you have no money. That you paid yourself for your hard work.
You personally don't
That's
have
what I mean.
money.
You have no money, that your personal income line is 0 or in the negative. So let's talk about that. Like, profit, personal income. What are some more that maybe would help us go, oh man, if I look at nothing else, let's look at this and see if my vitals are okay.
Yeah.
Let's see how my blood pressure is doing in my business.
Yep. So some come to mind right off the bat. I will kind of give myself a little bit of an out here. It is different for almost every business.
Okay.
Right? You have the temperature and blood pressure for all businesses, but then from there, it starts to get real specific, right? But
let's give them the basics for all of them.
Yeah, just the high levels, like what's the revenue? You got to have the money coming in, right?
Yep.
So I'm checking the revenue. I'm also checking net profit. After I pay everything, I want to know what my margin is. I want to know the percent. Let me say it this way. If I get $100, what percent of that $100 gets to go in the bank when everything else is paid for? That percentage is a really good number to tell you whether your business is healthy or not. So if you kind of know the top line and then know the bottom line, that's blood pressure and temperature.
That's good. That's good. I like it.
I don't care what business you're in, you ought to know those two things.
That's right. Dave Ramsey always says, profit is the report card of how your business is doing. And I love that. It gives you a report card. So often, sometimes I go on these soapboxes. Not me, never, right? But about profit, because it's a temptation, especially for some women starting out in business, to think of profit as greed or it's bonus fun money. Oh, it's just a bonus if I make a profit. Like, no, it's necessary.
Right.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's a report card of how your business is doing. So I love that you reiterated that.
Yes, yes. I think David said this too. Somewhere I heard it, but that top line revenue is vanity and bottom line profit is sanity.
Ooh, that's good.
It really tells you, the healthy business. So those two things. And then I would start to look at things like, let's say a service business, right? If you're running a service business, if you're doing something like that, you need to look at your utilization. And what I mean by that is how busy the units of production are in your business. So let me say it another way. I just went to the dentist, literally just went to the dentist. And he's got 6 dental chairs in there. Utilization is how much of the time are those chairs full of patients, right? He needs those chairs full of patients as much as he possibly can to utilize the chairs as much as possible. That is a health sign for his business, because if those chairs sit empty, he's not making money.
Okay.
So utilization is really important when you've got a service that you're providing and you're using equipment. You know, like I'll give you another example. My wife, she's got sewing machines. She got well, actually, she tells me not to count them, but I've seen like at least 5 of them. There's something about embroidery, something about a serger. I don't understand any of it. But the more those machines are running, the more those machines are utilized, the healthier her business is, because she's actually using the stuff that she invested in to make this thing go. So utilization is important. If you're running a retail space, so like let's just say it's a boutique, you should look at your sales per unit of square footage that you have. So you're paying rent on that, whether it's a pop-up shop or whatever, you're probably paying rent for the square feet that you're occupying. That's how rent works, right? So you should look at sales per square foot. That gives you a sanity check on, did I pay too much for rent? Because if you're paying for all this space and you got little sales, it's not good. If you got, you know, much smaller rent and lots of sales, that's a healthy ratio. Side note, the Apple Store is the #1 sales per square foot retail space in the world. The way they do Apple stores, they crank more money through those stores than anybody else.
Which is kind of incredible when you consider how many people are coming in to get help with their device and how much open floor space there is. It's really not crowded in there at all. So that's really interesting.
And you'll notice there's no cash registers. Everything's all, like you don't even feel it when you spend money in that place.
As much as my husband just paid for his new phone, I believe it.
So those are some things. I would also say, if you're building a widget, you should know your COGS, your cost of goods sold, right? Like
total.
Yes.
Total. Not like, oh, it was just one button. Oh, that little thing. No, all the little adds up.
Yes, that's right. Everything that adds up that it cost you in hard goods to actually make that thing. And then you can look at, okay, well, what was the labor that was required to do that also? So your COGS are really important if you're selling a widget. And then we said this before, like, are you paying yourself? To me, I understand that if it's something that you're doing as a side hustle, there might be a very short period where you say, I'm willing for 90 days or whatever the very short period is, I'm going to get this thing up and running and not pay myself. But if you're doing this and it's a business and you're going to do it you know, consistently and over the long haul, you've got to be paying yourself, or else it's just a hobby. You've heard, I'm sure you've said that a bajillion times, and you've heard Dave say that a bajillion times, if it's not making money. So those are some things that I would definitely look at. And then, you know, if you've got inventory, you should look at number of turns. So how often do you turn your entire inventory over? It's the same idea if you have a restaurant, right? How many turns do you have in a night, right? If you're super high-end white tablecloth and you're charging hundreds of dollars, you can fill up all the tables one time, serve dinner, and send everybody home, and it was a good night. If you're a fast food place, you better be turning those tables over all night long, and you should be counting that. You should know, like, we were able to do this many sittings or this many turns in an evening. Those are good indicators of whether or not your business is healthy. In the construction world, and I don't know, I'm trying to think what the application, let me just say this and then you can tell me, no, that doesn't apply. In a construction world, they will look at, because it's a contract driven deal, they will say, well, we contracted to do this work for this amount, but it actually cost us this. And you want to make sure that your estimate for what you spent to actually do it is good. So you want to make sure that your profit per line item, not just for the whole project, that you know the profit per line item. So I would even say, like in my wife's case, if she's going to do a sewing project for somebody and there's multiple pieces or whatever, she needs to know, she needs to be able to say, well, I can do this for this, this for this, and this for this, and it's all going to be $100 or it's all going to be $500. She needs to not just know that she got $500 for it. She needs to know if her estimate of it, what she thought it would cost her, is accurate relative to what it cost her at the end of the day, because then her estimating is off.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I think probably where this would show up, like in a house cleaning business. You walk around the house, you say, I think this is going to take me a day to do.
Right.
This is going to be $125 or
right.
$200 or whatever. And then you get in there and it's 3 days to get this thing clean.
Right.
You're estimating versus what you're actually making is off.
Yeah.
So I would pay attention to what your estimates were for the work that you do versus what you're actually collecting.
I think it's an interesting point, because that actually ties in with something you just said that I want to go back to, like in the example of the restaurants. Okay,
Yeah.
So like a fast food versus a really high end. Because when you're talking about inventory, inventory utilization, we've got some crossover here. But when you're talking about inventory, and how quick you're turning this table in a restaurant example, we have many women that listen and watch that have restaurants, or cafes or whatever. When you start to see, oh my gosh, I've got to turn this 57 times to make this, make the amount of money to cover my rent, to be profitable, pay myself.
Yep.
There's a real overlap with pricing there.
Yes.
It holds you accountable to go, let's use a running example. I love a good running example, John. It's like, if I want to run a mile, I can run, if I run a 12-minute mile, it's going to take me 12 minutes of sweating, breathing hard, all that to get that mile.
Yes.
Or I could crank up the speed a little bit, run a little faster, and I'm done quicker.
Yes.
And so in this same concept, you could charge more, and you've worked less.
That's right.
And you've still come to the same numbers of profit, personal income, and so on. You don't have that pressure on yourself to, I'm going to run faster and faster and faster and have it turn the inventory so many times to be able to keep up with that same amount of numbers. It's the dead printer working example I use. It's like one print shop charges $1,000 a job.
Right.
The other print shop charges $100 a job.
Yep.
And so you're going, well, he's getting more business, but he has to work 10 times as hard.
Yeah.
This guy does one job.
Yep.
And he's made the same amount of money. So I think I like this idea of, as you go into the next year, really looking at how much your inventory, your utilization as you described it, your estimates, all this overlays with your price. And you start to see, do I need to raise my prices next year where I do not have to hold my feet to the fire quite so much, higher volume to make up for the fact that I just want to be the cheapest.
Right.
Yeah, but you're going to work really hard to be the cheapest. You know what I mean? You're working hard to be the cheapest.
Yeah, you need to charge more.
Yeah, that's good.
I know that's kind of all over the place with all those numbers, so I apologize for that, but there's so many different kinds of businesses. Outside of that, blood pressure and temperature, top line and bottom line, you really need to study your business and figure out what those levers are for the particular business, but a lot of them we just talked about are what you'll end up finding.
Well, and it's testing too, right?
That's right.
Like it's trying some stuff. Oh, that worked really well, let's do more of that. We do that here all the time. It's like we're launching an event. It's like, okay, where do most of our event ticket sales come from? Dave Ramsey Show and my podcast. So we pour fuel on that fire.
That's right.
We pay attention to that.
And you learn that by starting and then adjusting the dials.
Right, a little bit at a time. Before we wrap up, I would love it if you would just give these ladies some advice of wrapping up 2018, going into 2019. We're going to be talking a lot, in the next month on setting goals, all those things, getting on track for the year. What are some things that you feel like are really practical steps that they could take today, this week, even in the midst of the holidays, to just kind of like clear their mind, clear their space, let's press the reset button. What would that look like to get them ready for next month, next year, and kick it into gear when January hits?
Put your dadgum phone down.
Oh, preach. Bring it, John. Preach. I love it. I love it.
You know this. I know you know this. There's a school in the Silicon Valley where most of the heads of all of those companies that have built all this technology send their kids, and they don't allow technology in a school.
Wow.
I love Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. And he talks about the fact that our society is more and more and more distracted than ever. And at the exact same time, our society is valuing deep, thoughtful, creative work more and more and more than ever. And so the thing that you can really bring to your audience or to your clients is your best creative work. And you can do that best by being less distracted.
That's good.
And that takes work. It will not happen on its own. Dave always says, you never win a Super Bowl by accident.
That's right.
You are not going to be able to focus and make good decisions or do good creative work when you're distracted. you know that multitasking is a myth. That context switching robs us of our attention, and it just dilutes our thinking.
It's exhausting too.
It's
Isn't it like when you're switching mental gears all the time, you got 57 tabs open, you worked really hard, you're exhausted, you didn't feel like you got anything done.
Yes.
You know, the power of focus. I love that you're talking about this. I experience this with writing. When I write, I won't write here.
Yeah.
I leave, I go to a coffee shop, I put on noise canceling headphones, I close all my tabs, close my phone, and I write.
Yes.
I would never get any writing done if I tried to write here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I had the best creative session I've had in a long time last week when I had to drive to Atlanta to visit a client. 4.5 hours each way. White line fever. But I was just, I had the opportunity to shut everything out and think. And I would say the best way to get ready for 2019 is do what you said. Just stop, hit pause, turn the noise all down, and give yourself some time to think about, like you started, think about what happened in 2018 and what I need to be looking at, and then dreaming about 2019 and then going and making that happen.
I love it. John, I know you're so busy. You're on the phones all day. You're hanging out with our team and meetings, like you said, and coaching these entrepreneurs from all over the country. So thanks for taking some time to hang out and teach us as well.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you need help sticking with your goals in 2019, you don't want to miss my 2019 Business Boutique Goal Planner. Y'all, this thing is going to help you make 2019 your best year yet. It's got content that you can focus on every single month, and you have a calendar and a goal-setting tool and template and to-do list. Be sure to get your copy by going to businessboutique.com or by clicking the link below.